Welcome back, everybody, to, I kind of want to say this confidently, the final episode of Sip Read Repeat for Gone Girl. Now, let me make my intentions very clear. Sip Read Repeat did not hinge on Gone Girl. Gone Girl was just the first book, or thing we're going to read, I should say, on Sip Read Repeat. I have plans for a lot of other cool things. But if this works out right, this should be the last episode of Gone Girl, and we might be able to tackle some extras before the new year. But let me stop talking then so I can try to make that a reality. And let's start on part 3. Boy gets girl back. Or vice versa. Obviously, I'm drinking out of the chalice today. Just water. Just because it's the winter time, don't mean hydrating still ain't important. Here we go. Nick Dunn, 40 days gone. Now remember, last we left Nick, he had been arrested, and Amy was plotting her escape from Desi. Out on bond, awaiting trial. I've been processed and released. The depersonalized in and outing of jail, the bond hearing, the fingerprints and photos, the rotating and the shuffling and the handling. It didn't make me feel like an animal. It made me feel like a product. Something created on an assembly line. What they were creating was Nick Dunn Killer. It would be months until we begin my trial. My trial, the words still threatened to undo me completely, turn me into a high-pitched giggler, a madman. I was supposed to feel privileged to be out on bond. I had stayed put even when it was clear I was going to be arrested, so I was deemed no flight risk. That was smart. Boney might have put in a good word for me too. So I got to be in my own home for a few more months before I was carted off to prison and killed by the state. Damn. Yes, I was a lucky, lucky man. It was mid-August, which I found continually strange. It's still summer, I think. How can so much have happened and it's not even autumn? It was brutally warm. Shirt sleeve weather was how my mom would have described it, forever more concerned with her children's comfort than the actual Fahrenheit. Shirt sleeve weather, jacket weather, overcoat weather, parka weather, the year in outerwear. For me this year, it would be handcuff weather, then possibly prison jumpsuit weather, or funeral suit weather, because I didn't plan on going to prison. I'd kill myself first. Tanner had a team of 5 detectives trying to track Amy down. So far, nothing. Like trying to catch water. Every day for weeks, I'd done my little shitty part. Videotape a message to Amy and post it on Young Rebecca's Whodunit blog. Rebecca, at least, had remained loyal. In the video, I wore clothes Amy had bought me, and I brushed my hair the way she liked it, and I tried to read her mind. My anger toward her was like heated wire. The camera crews parked themselves on my lawn most mornings. We were like rival soldiers, rooted in shooting distance for months, eyeing each other across no man's land, achieving some sort of perverted fraternity. There was one guy with a voice, like a cartoon strongman, whom I become attached to, sight unseen. He was dating a girl he really, really liked. Every morning, his voice boomed in through my windows as he analyzed their dates. Things seemed to be going very well. I wanted to hear how the story ended. I finished my evening taping to Amy. I was wearing a green shirt she liked on me, and I'd been telling her the story of how we first met, the party in Brooklyn, my awful opening line, just one olive. That embarrassed me every time Amy mentioned it. I talked about our exit from the oversteamed apartment, out onto the crackling cold, with her hand in mine, the kiss in the cloud of sugar. It was one of the few stories we told the same way. I said it all in the cadence of a bedtime tale, soothing and familiar and repetitive. Always ending with, "Come home to me, Amy." I turned off the camera and sat back on the couch. I always film while sitting on the couch under her pernicious, unpredictable cuckoo clock, because I knew if I didn't show her cuckoo clock, she'd wonder whether I had finally gotten rid of her cuckoo clock. And then she stopped wondering whether I had finally gotten rid of her cuckoo clock and simply come to believe it was true. And then no matter what sweet words came out my mouth, she silently countered with, "And yet he tossed out my cuckoo clock." The cuckoo was, in fact, soon to pop out, its grinding wind-up beginning over my head, a sound that inevitably made my jaw tense. When the camera crews outside emitted a loud, collective, oceanic whooshing. Somebody was here. I heard the seagull cries of a few female news anchors. Something is wrong, I thought. The doorbell rang 3 times in a row. Nick, 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 Nick. I didn't hesitate. I had stopped hesitating over the past month. Bring on the trouble post haste. I opened the door. It was my wife. Back. Amy Elliott Dunn stood barefoot on my doorstep in a thin pink dress that clung to her as if it were wet. Her ankles were ringed in dark violet. From one limp wrist dangled a piece of twine. Her hair was short and frayed at the ends, as if it had been carelessly chopped by dull scissors. Her face was bruised, her lips swollen. She was sobbing. Pause. Let's take a moment. Her ankles were ringed in dark violet, so that sounds like she definitely tied some type of rope around her ankles. From one limp wrist dangled a piece of twine, so she might have even broke her own wrist to make it seem like she was tied up for a long time. Yo, this bitch is crazy. Resume. When she flung her arms out toward me, I could see her entire midsection was stained with dried blood. She tried to speak. Her mouth opened. Once, twice, silent. A mermaid washed ashore. Nick, she finally keened, a wail that echoed against all the empty houses and fell into my arms. I wanted to kill her. Had we been alone, my hands might have found their place around her neck, my fingers locating perfect grooves in her flesh, to feel that strong pulse under my fingers. But we weren't alone. We were in front of cameras, and they were realizing who this strange woman was. They were coming to life as sure as the cuckoo clock inside. A few clicks, a few questions, then an avalanche of noise and light. The cameras were blasting us, the reporters closing in with microphones, everyone yelling Amy's name, screaming, literally screaming. So I did the right thing. I held her to me and howled her name right back. Amy, my God, my darling. I buried my face in her neck, my arms wrapped tight around her, and let the cameras get their 15 seconds. And I whispered deep inside her ear, you fucking bitch. Then I stroked her hair. I cupped her face in my 2 loving hands, and I yanked her inside. Outside our door, a rock concert was demanding its encore. Amy, Amy, Amy. Someone threw a scattering of pebbles at our window. Amy, Amy, Amy. My wife took it all as her due, fluttering a dismissive hand toward the rabble outside. She turned to me with a worn but triumphant smile. The smile on the rape victim, the abuse survivor, the bed burner in the old TV movies. The smile where the bastard has finally received due justice, and we know our heroine will be able to move on with life. Freeze frame. I gestured to the twine, the hacked hair, the dried blood. So what's your story, wife? I'm back, she whimpered. I made it back to you. She moved to put her arms around me. I moved away. What is your story, Amy? Desi, she whispered, her lower lip trembling. Desi Collins took me. It was the morning of our anniversary, and the doorbell rang, and I thought maybe it was flowers from you. I flinched. Of course, she'd find a way to work in a gripe that I hardly ever sent her flowers. When her dad had sent her mom flowers each week since they'd been married. That's 2,444 bouquets of flowers versus 4. Flowers or something, she continued. So I didn't think. I just flung open the door. And there he stood, Desi, with this look on his face, determined, as if he'd been girding himself up for all this along. Pardon me. And I was holding the handle to the Judy puppet. Did you find the puppets? She smiled up at me tearily. She looked so sweet. Oh, I found everything you left for me, Amy. I had just found the handle to the Judy puppet. It had fallen off. I was holding it when I opened the door. And I tried to hit him, and we struggled. And he clubbed me with it, hard. And the next thing I knew, you had framed me for murdered and disappeared. I can explain everything, Nick. I stared at her for a long, hard moment. I saw days under the hot sun stretched across the sand of the beach, her hand on my chest, and I saw family dinners at her parents' house, with Rand always refilling my glass and patting me on the shoulder, and I saw us sprawled on the rug in my crummy New York apartment, talking while staring at the lazy ceiling fan. And I saw mother of my child and the stunning life I planned for us once. I had a moment that lasted 2 beats. 1, 2. When I wished violently that she were telling the truth. I actually don't think you can explain everything, I said, but I'm going to love watching you try. Try me now. She tried to take my hand and I flung her off. I walked away from her, took a breath, and then turned to face her. My wife must always be faced. Go ahead, Nick. Try me now. Okay, sure. Why was every clue of the treasure hunt hidden in a place where I had relations with Andy? She sighed, looked at the floor. Her ankles were raw. I didn't even know about Andy until I saw it on TV, while I was tied to Desi's bed, hidden away in his lake house. So that was all coincidence? Those were the places that are meaningful to us, she said. A tear slid down her face. Your office, where you reignited your passion for journalism? I snuffed. Hannibal, where I finally understood how much this area means to you? Your father's house, confronting the man who hurt you so much? Your mother's house, which is now Go's house, the 2 people who made you such a good man? But I guess it doesn't surprise me that you like to share those places with someone else. She bowed her head. With someone else she bowed her head, have fallen in love with. You always liked repeats. Oh, shit. Sorry, y'all. Excuse me. Why did each of those places end up including clues that implicated me in your murder? Women's undies, your purse, your diary. Explain your diary, Amy, with all the lies. She just smiled and shook her head like she was sorry for me. Everything. I can explain everything, she said. I looked in that sweet, tear-stained face. Then I looked down at all the blood. Amy, where's Desi? She shook her head again, a sad little smile. I moved to call the police, but a knock on our door told me they were already there. This woman is crazy. Amy Elliott done. The night of the return. I still have Desi's semen inside me from the last time he raped me, so the medical examination goes fine. My rope-wreathed wrist, my damaged vagina, my bruises, the body I present them as textbook. An older male detective with humid breath and thick fingers performs the pelvic exam, scraping and wheezing in time, while Detective Rhonda Boney holds my hand. It is like being clutched by a cold bird claw, not comforting at all. She is absolutely thrilled that Nick isn't a bad guy after all. Yes, the women of America are collectively sighing. Police have been dispatched to Desi's home, where they'll find him naked and drained, a stunned look on his face, a few strands of my hair in his clutches, the bed soaked in blood. The knife I used on him and on my bonds will be nearby on the floor where I dropped it, dazed, and walked barefoot, carrying nothing out of the house but his keys, to the car, to the gate, and climbed, still slick with his blood, into his vintage Jaguar and returned like some long-lost faithful pet, straight back home to my husband. I'd been reduced to an animal state. I didn't think of anything but getting back to Nick. The old doctor tells me the good news. No permanent damage and no need for a D&C. I miscarried too early. Boney keeps clutching my hand and murmuring, my God, what you've been through. Do you think you feel up to answering a few questions? That fast from condolences to brass tracks. I find ugly women are usually overly deferential or incredibly rude. You are amazing, Amy, and you survived a brutal kidnapping involving repeated assaults. You've killed your captor, and you've made it back to a husband you've discovered was cheating. You, A, put yourself first and demand some time alone to collect yourself. B, hold it together just a little longer so you can help the police. C, decide which interview to give first. You might as well get something out of the ordeal, like a book deal. Answer, B. Amazing Amy always puts others first. I'm allowed to clean myself up in a private room in the hospital, and I change into a set of clothes Nick put together for me from the house. Jeans with creases from being folded too long, a pretty blouse that smells of dust. Boney and I drive from the hospital to the police station in near silence. I ask weakly after my parents. They're waiting for you at the station, Boney says. They wept when I told them, with joy, absolute joy and relief. We'll let them get some good hugs in with you before we do our questions. Don't worry. The cameras are already at the station. The parking lot has that hopeful, overlit look of a sports stadium. There is no underground parking, so we have to pull right up front as the madding crowd closes in. I see wet lips and spittle as everyone screams questions. The pops of flashbulbs and camera lights. The crowd pushes and pulls en masse, jerking a few inches to the right, then the left, as everyone tries to reach me. I can't do this, I say to Boney. A man's meaty palm smacks against the car window as a photographer tries to keep his balance. I grab her cold hand. It's too much. She pats me and says, wait. The station doors open and every officer in the building flies down the stairs and forms a line on either side of me, holding the press back, creating an honor guard for me. And Rhonda and I run in holding hands like reverse newlyweds, rushing straight up to my parents who are waiting just inside the doorway. And everyone gets the photos of us clutching each other, with my mom whispering, sweet girl, sweet girl, sweet girl, sweet girl, and my dad sobbing so loudly he almost chokes. There's more of whisking me away, as if I haven't been whisked away quite enough already. I am deposited in the closet of a room with comfortable but cheap office chairs, the kind that always seem to have bits of old food woven into the fabric. A camera blinking up in the corner and no windows. It is not what I pictured. It is not designed to make me feel safe. I am surrounded by Boney, her partner, Gilpin, and 2 FBI agents up from St. Louis who remain nearly silent. St. Louis? St. Louis? Whatever. They give me water, and then Boney starts. Boney, okay, Amy. First, we have to thank you sincerely for talking with us after what you've been through. In a case like this, it's very important to get everything down while the memory is fresh. You can't imagine how important that is. So it's good to talk now. If we can get all these details down, we can close the case, and you and Nick can go back to your lives. Amy, I definitely like that. Boney, you deserve that. So if you're ready to begin, can we throw up the timeline? What time did Desi arrive at your door? Do you remember? About 10 a.m., a little after, because I remember hearing the Teverers, whatever, talking as they walked to their car for church. Boney, what happened when you opened the door? Amy, something felt wrong immediately. First of all, Desi has written me letters all my life, but his obsession seemed to have become less intense over the years. He seemed to think of himself as just an old friend, and since the police couldn't do anything about it, I made peace with that. I never felt like he meant me active harm, although I really didn't like being that close to him. This close to him. Geographically. I think that's what put him over the edge, knowing I was so close. He walked into my house he was sweaty and nervous, but also determined looking. I'd been upstairs. I'd been about to iron my dress when I noticed the big wooden handle of the Judy puppet on the floor. I guess it had fallen off. Bummer, because I'd already hidden the puppets in the woodshed. So I grabbed the handle and I had that in my hand when I opened the door. Boney, very good memory. Amy, thank you. Boney, what happened next? Amy, Desi barged in and he was pacing around the living room, all flustered and kind of frantic, and he said, what are you doing for your anniversary? It frightened me that he knew today was our anniversary, and he seemed angry about it. And then his arm flashed out and he had me by my wrist and was twisting it behind my back, and we struggled. I put up a real fight. What next? I kicked him and got away for a second and ran to the kitchen, and we struggled more, and he clubbed me once with the big wooden Judy handle, and I went flying, and then he hit me 2 or 3 more times. I remember not being able to see for a second, just dizzy. My head was throbbing, and I tried to grab for the handle, and he stabbed my arm with his pocket knife he was carrying. I still have the scar. See? Yes, that was noted in your medical examination. You were lucky it was only a flesh wound. It doesn't feel like a flesh wound, believe me. Boney, so he stabbed you? The angle is, I'm not sure if he did it on purpose, or if I thrust myself onto the blade accidentally. I was so off balance. I remember the club falling to the floor though, and I looked down and saw my blood from the stab wound pooling over the club. I think I passed out then. Boney, where were you when you woke up? Amy, I woke up hog-tied in my living room. I don't know how to hog-tie people. Sorry. Boney, did you scream? Try to get neighbors' attention? Amy, of course I screamed. I mean, did you hear me? I was beaten, stabbed, and hog-tied by a man who had been obsessed with me for decades, who once tried to kill himself in my dorm room. Boney, okay. Amy, I'm sorry. That question was not intended in the least to sound like we are blaming you. We just need to get a full picture here so we can close the investigation and you can get on with your life. Do you want another water or coffee or something? Amy, something warm would be nice. I'm so cold. Boney, no problem. Can you get her a coffee? So, what happened then? Amy, I think his original plan was to subdue me and kidnap me and let it look like a runaway wife thing. Because when I wake up, He's just finished mopping the blood in the kitchen, and he straightened the table of little antique ornaments that fell over when I ran to the kitchen. He's gotten rid of the club, but he's running out of time, and I think that must have happened. But he's running out of time. I think what must have happened is he sees this disheveled living room, and so he thinks, leave it. Let it look like something bad happened here. So he throws the front door open, and then he knocks a few more things over in the living room, overturns the ottoman, so that's why the scene looks so weird. It was half true and half false. Boney. Did Desi plant incriminating items at each of the treasure hunt sites? Nick's office, Hannibal, his dad's house, Gold's woodshed? Amy. I don't know what you mean. Boney. There was a pair of women's underwear not your size in Nick's office. Amy. I guess it must have been the girl he was dating. Boney. Not hers either. Amy. Well, I can't help on that one. Maybe he was seeing more than one girl. Boney. Your diary was found in his father's house, partly burned in the furnace. Amy. Did you read the diary? It's awful. I'm sure Nick did want to get rid of it. I don't blame him, considering you guys zeroed in on him so quickly. Boney. I wonder why he would go to his father's to burn it. Amy. You should ask him. Nick went there a lot to be alone. He likes his privacy, so I'm sure it didn't feel that odd to him. I mean, he couldn't do it at our house because that's a crime scene. Who knows if you guys will come back, find something in the ashes. At his dad's, he has some discretion. I thought it was a smart move considering you guys were basically railroading him. Boney. The diary is very, very concerning. The diary alleges abuse and your fears that Nick didn't want the baby, that he might want to kill you. Amy. I really do wish the diary had been burned. Let me be honest. The diary includes some of Nick's and my struggles these past few years. It doesn't paint the greatest picture of our marriage or of Nick, but I have to admit, I never wrote that diary unless I was super happy or I was really, really unhappy and wanted to vent. And then I can get a little dramatic when it's just me stewing on things. I mean, a lot of it is the ugly truth. He did shove me once, and he didn't want a baby, and he did have money problems. But me being afraid of him, I have to admit, it pains me to admit, but that's my dramatic streak. I think the problem is I've been stalked several times. It's been a lifelong issue. People getting obsessed with me, and so I get a little paranoid. Boney, you tried to buy a gun. Amy, I get a lot paranoid, okay? I'm sorry. If you had my history, you understand. Boney, there's an entry about a night of drinks when you suffer from what sounds like textbook antifreeze poisoning. Amy. Now, just so you guys know, some of these do say pause. I'm going to read this part here. Long silence. That's bizarre. Yes, I did get ill. Boney. Okay, back to the treasure hunt. You did hide the Punch and Judy dolls in the woodshed. Amy. I did. Boney. A lot of our case has focused on Nick's debt, some extensive credit card purchases, and our discovery of all those items were hidden in the woodshed. What did you think when you opened the woodshed and saw all this stuff? Amy. I was on Go's property, and Go and I aren't especially close, so mostly I felt like I was nosing around in something that wasn't my business. I remember thinking at the time it must have been her stuff from New York. And then I saw on the news, Desi made me watch everything, that it corresponded with Nick's purchases. And I knew Nick had money troubles. He was a spender. I think he was probably embarrassed. Impulse purchases he couldn't undo. So he hid them from me until he could sell them online. Boney, the Punch and Judy puppets. They seem a little ominous for an anniversary present. Amy, I know. Now I know. I didn't remember the whole backstory of Punch and Judy. I was just seeing a husband and a wife and a baby, and they were made of wood, and I was pregnant. I scanned the internet and saw Punch's line. That's the way to do it, and I thought it was cute. I didn't know what it meant. Boney, so you were hogtied. How did Desi get you to the car? Amy, he pulled the car into the garage and lowered the garage door, dragged me in, threw me in the trunk, and drove away. And did you yell then? Yes, I fucking yelled. And if I'd known that every night for the next month Desi was going to rape me, then snuggle in next to me with a martini and a sleeping pill so he wouldn't be awakened by my sobbing, and that the police were going to actually interview him and still not have a clue, still sit around with their thumbs up their asses, I might have yelled harder. Yes, I might have. Boney. Again, my apologies. Can we get Miss Dunn some tissues, please? And where's her car? Thank you. Okay, where did you go from there, Amy? We drove towards St. Louis. I remember on the way there, he stopped at Hannibal. I heard the steamboat whistle. I guess it's when he threw my purse out. It was the one other thing he did so it would look like foul play. Boney, this is so interesting. There seem to be many strange coincidences in this case. Like that Desi would happen to toss up the purse right at Hannibal. where your clue would make Nick go, and we in turn would believe that Nick tossed the purse there. Or how you decided to hide a present in the very place where Nick was hiding goods he bought on credit cards. Secret credit cards. Amy, really? I have to tell you, none of this sounds like a coincidence to me. It sounds like a bunch of cops who got hung up on my husband being guilty, and now that I'm alive and he's clearly not guilty, they look like giant idiots, and they're scrambling to cover their asses. Instead of accepting responsibility for the fact that if this case had been left in your extremely fucking incompetent hands, Nick would be on death row and I'd be chained to a bed being raped every day from now until I die. Boney, I'm sorry, it's Amy. I saved myself, which saved Nick, which saved your sorry fucking asses. Boney, that is an incredibly good point, Amy. I'm sorry. We spent so long on this case, we want to figure out every detail that we missed. We don't repeat our mistakes. But you're absolutely right. We're missing the big picture, which is, you are a hero. You are an absolute hero. Amy, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. This woman is crazy. This woman is crazy. Nick Dunn, the night of the return. I went to the station to fetch my wife and was greeted by the press like a rock star. The landslide president, first moonwalker all in one. I had to resist raising clasped hands above my head in the universal victory shake. I see, I thought, we're all pretending to be friends now. I entered a scene that felt like a holiday party gone awry. A few bottles of champagne rested on one desk, surrounded by tiny paper cups, backslapping and cheers for all the cops, and then more cheers for me, as if people hadn't been my persecutors the day before. But I had to play along, present the back for slapping. Oh yes, we're all buddies now. All that matters is that Amy is safe. I'd been practicing that line over and over. I had to look like the relieved, doting husband until I knew which way things were going to go. Until I was sure the police had saw through all her sticky cobweb lies. Until she is arrested. I get that far. Until she is arrested. And then I could feel my brain expand and deflate simultaneously. My own cerebral Hitchcock zoom. And I think, my wife murdered a man. Stabbed him, said the young police officer assigned as the family liaison. I hope never to be liaison again with anyone for any reason. He was the same kid who'd yammered on to go about his horse and torn labrum and peanut allergy. Cut him right through the jugular. Cut like that. He bleeds out in like 60 seconds. 60 seconds is a long time to know you are dying. I could picture Desi wrapping his hands around his neck, the feel of his own blood spurting between his fingers with each pulse, and Desi getting more frightened and the pulse only quickening, and then slowing, and Desi knowing the slowing was worse, and all the time Amy standing just out of reach, studying him with the blameful, disgusted look of a high school biology student confronted with the dripping of a pig fetus. Her little scalpel still in hand. Cut him with a big old butcher knife, the kid was saying. Guy used to sit right next to her on the bed, cut up her meat for her, and feed her. He sounded more disgusted by this than the stabbing. One day a knife slips off the plate. He never notices. How'd she use the knife if she was always tied up, I asked. The kid looked at me as if I just told a joke about his mother. I don't know, Mr. Dunn. I'm sure they're getting the details right now. The point is, your wife is safe. Hooray. Kid stole my line. I spotted Rand and Mary Beth through the doorway of the room where we'd given our first press conferences 6 weeks ago. They were leaning into each other as always. Rand kissing the top of Mary Beth's head, Mary Beth nuzzling him back, and I felt such a keen sense of outrage that I almost threw a stapler at them. You two worshipful, adoring assholes created that thing down the hall, and you set her loose on the world. Lo, how jolly, what a perfect monster. And do they get punished? No. Not a single person had come forth to question their characters. They'd experienced nothing but an outpouring of love and support. And Amy would be restored to them, and everyone would love her more. My wife was an insatiable sociopath before. What would she become now? Step carefully, Nick. Step very carefully. Rand caught my eye and motioned me to join them. He shook my hand for a few exclusive reporters who'd been granted an audience. Mary Beth held her ground. I was still the man who cheated on her daughter. She gave me a curt nod and turned away. Rand leaned in close close to me. I don't know why it was so hard to read, so I could smell his spearmint gum. I tell you, Nick, we are so relieved to have Amy back. We owe you an apology, too. Big one. We'll let Amy decide how she feels about your marriage, but I want to at least apologize for where things went. You've got to understand. I do, I said. I understand everything. Before Rand could apologize or engage further, Tanner and Betsy arrived together, looking like a Vogue spread, crisp slacks and jewel-toned shirts and gleaming gold watches and rings. And Tanner leaned toward my ear and whispered, "Let me see where we are," and then Go was rushing in, all alarmed eyes and questions. "What does this mean? What happened to Desi? She just showed up on your doorstep? What does this mean? Are you okay? What happens next?" It was a bizarre gathering, the feel of it. Not quite reunion, not quite hospital waiting room. Celebratory, yet anxious. Like some parlor game where no one knew, where no one had all the rules. Meanwhile, the two reporters the Elliots allowed into the inner sanctum kept snapping questions at me. How great does it feel to have Amy back? How wonderful do you feel right now? How relieved are you, Nick, that Amy has returned? I'm extremely relieved and very happy, I was saying, crafting my own bland PR statement when the doors parted and Jacqueline Collins entered, her lips a tight red scar, her face powder-lined with tears. "Where is she?" she said to me. "The lying little bitch. Where is she? She killed my son. My son." She began crying as a reporter took a few photos. "How do you feel that your son was accused of kidnapping and rape?" one reporter asked in a stiff tone. "How do I feel?" she snapped. "Are you actually serious? Do people really answer questions like that? That nasty, soulless girl manipulated my son his entire life. Write this down. She manipulated and lied and finally murdered him. And now, even after he's dead, she's still using him. Miss Collins, we're Amy's parents," Mary Beth was beginning. She tried to touch Jacqueline on the shoulder, and Jacqueline shook her off. "I am sorry for your pain, but not my loss, Jacqueline. Not my loss." Jacqueline stood a good head taller than Mary Beth. She glared down on her. "But not my loss," she reasserted. "I'm sorry about everything," Mary Beth said, and then Rand was next to her, a head taller than Jacqueline. "What are you going to do about your daughter?" Jacqueline asked. She turned toward our young liaison officer, tried to hold his ground. "What is being done about Amy? Because she is lying when she says my son kidnapped her. She is lying. She killed him. She murdered him in his sleep, and no one seems to be taking this seriously." "It's all being taken very, very seriously, ma'am," the young kid said. "Can I get a quote, Miss Collins?" asked the reporter. "I just gave you my quote. Amy Elliott Dunn murdered my son. It was not self-defense. She murdered him. Do you have proof of that?" Of course she didn't. The reporter's story would chronicle my husbandly exhaustion, his drawn face telling of too many nights forfeited to fear, and the Elliots' relief. The two parents cling to each other as they wait for their only child to be officially returned to them. It would discuss the incompetence of the cops. It was a biased case, full of dead ends and wrong turns, with the police department focused doggedly on the wrong man. The article would dismiss Jacqueline Collins in a single line. After an awkward run-in with the Elliott parents, an embittered Jacqueline Collins was ushered out of the room, claiming her son was innocent. Jacqueline was indeed ushered out of the room into another, where her statement would be recorded, and she would be kept out of the way of the much better story, the triumphant return of Amazing Amy. When Amy was released to us, it all began again. The photos and the tears, the hugging and the laughter, all for strangers who wanted to see and to know. What was it like? "Amy, what does it feel like to escape your captor and return to your husband?" "Nick, what does it feel like to get your wife back, to get your freedom back? All at once." I remained mostly silent. I was thinking my own questions, the same questions I thought for years, the ominous refrain of our marriage. "What are you thinking, Amy? How are you feeling? Who are you? What have we done to each other? What will we do?" It was a gracious, queenly act for Amy to want to come home to our marriage bed with her cheating husband. Everyone agreed. The media followed us as if we were a royal wedding procession, the two of us whizzing through the neon fast food cluttered streets of Carthage to our McMansion on the river. What grace Amy has, what moxie, a storybook princess, and I, of course, was the lick-spittle hunchback of a husband who would bow and scrape the rest of my days until she was arrested, if she ever got arrested. That she was released at all was a concern, more than the concern and utter shock. I saw them all filing out of the conference room where they questioned her for 4 hours and then let her go. 2 FBI guys with alarmingly short hair and blank faces. Gilpin looking like he swallowed the greatest steak dinner of his life. And Boney, the only one with thin, tight lips and a little V of a frown. She glanced at me as she walked past, arched an eyebrow, and was gone. Then, too quickly, Amy and I were back in our home, alone, in the living room, Bleecker watching us with shiny eyes. Outside our curtains, the lights of the TV cameras remained, bathing our living room in a bizarrely lush orange glow. We looked candlelit, romantic. Amy was absolutely beautiful. I hated her. I was afraid of her. We can't really sleep in the same house, I began. I want to stay here with you. She took my hand. I want to be with my husband. I want to give you the chance to be the kind of husband you want to be. I forgive you. You forgive me? Amy, why did you come back? Because of what I said in interviews, the videos? Wasn't that what you wanted, she said? Wasn't the point of the videos? They were perfect. They reminded me of what we used to have, how special it was. What I said, that was just me saying what you wanted to hear. I know. That's how well you know me, Amy said. She beamed. Bleecker began figure-8ing between her legs. She picked him up and stroked him. His purr was deafening. Think about it, Nick. We know each other better than anyone in the world now. It was true that I had this feeling too, in the past month, when I wasn't wishing Amy harm. It would come to me at strange moments in the middle of the night, up to take a piss, or in the morning pouring a bowl of cereal. I'd detect a nib of admiration, and more than that, fondness for my wife, right in the middle of me, right in the gut. To know exactly what I wanted to hear in those notes, to woo me back to her, even to predict all my wrong moves. The woman knew me cold. Better than anyone in the world, she knew me. All this time, I thought we were strangers, and it turned out we knew each other intuitively in our bones, in our blood. It was kind of romantic, catastrophically romantic. We can't pick up where we left off, Amy. No, not where we were, she said. Where we are now. Where you love me and you'll never do wrong again. You're crazy. You're literally crazy if you think I'm going to stay. You killed a man, I said. I turned my back to her. Then I pictured her with a knife in her hand and her mouth growing tight as I disobeyed her. I turned back around. Yes, my wife must always be faced. To escape him. You killed Desi so you had a new story, so you can come back and be beloved Amy and not ever take the blame for what you did. Don't you get it, Amy? The irony? It's what you always hated about me, that I never dealt with the consequences of my actions, right? Well, my ass has been well and duly consequenced. So what about you? You murdered a man I assume loved you and was helping you, and now you want me to step in his place and love you and help you? And I can't. I cannot do it. I won't do it. Nick, I think you've gotten some bad information, she said. It doesn't surprise me, all the rumors that are going about, but we need to forget all that if we are to go forward, and we will go forward. All of America wants us to go forward. It's the story the world needs right now. Us. Desi's the bad guy. No one wants two bad guys. They want to like you, Nick. The only way you can be loved again is to stay with me. It's the only way. Tell me what happened, Amy. Was Desi helping you all along? She flared at that. She didn't need a man's help, even though she clearly had needed a man's help. Of course not, she snapped. Tell me, what can it hurt? Tell me everything, because you and I can't go forward with this pretend story. I'll fight you every step of the way. I know you've thought of everything. I'm not trying to get you to slip up. I'm tired of trying to outthink you. I don't have it in me. I just want to know what happened. I was a step away from death row, Amy. You came back and saved me, and I thank you for that. Do you hear me? I thank you. So you don't say I didn't say it later on. I thank you, but I need to know. You know I need to know. Take off your clothes, she said. She wanted to make sure I wasn't wearing a wire. I undressed in front of her, removed every stitch, and then she surveyed me. Ran a hand across my chin, across my chest, down my back. She palmed my ass and slipped her hand between my legs, cut my testicles, and gripped my limp cock. She held it in her hand for a moment to see if anything happened. Nothing happened. You're clean, she said. It was meant as a joke, a wisecrack, a movie reference we both laugh at. When I'd said nothing, she stepped back and said, I always did like looking at you naked. That made me happy. Nothing made you happy. Can I put my clothes back on? No. I don't want to worry about hidden wires in the cuffs or in the hems. Also, we need to go into the bathroom and run the water, in case you bug the house. You've seen too many movies, I said. Ha! Never thought I'd hear you say that. We stood in the bathtub and turned on the shower. The water sprayed my naked back and misted the front of Amy's shirt until she peeled it off. She pulled off all her clothes, a gleeful striptease, and tossed them over the shower stall in the same grinning, game manner she had when we first met. I'm up for anything. And she turned to me, and I waited for her to swing her hair around her shoulders like she did when she flirted with me, but her hair was too short. Now we're even, she said. Seemed rude to be the only one clothed. I think we're past etiquette, Amy. Look only at her eyes. Do not touch her. Do not let her touch you. She moved toward me, put a hand on my chest, let the water trickle between her breasts. She licked a shower teardrop off her upper lip and smiled. Amy hated shower spray. She didn't like getting her face wet. Didn't like the feel of water pelleting her flesh. Pelleting. I knew this because I was married to her, and I'd pawed her and harassed her many times in the shower, always to be turned down. I know it seems sexy, Nick, but it's not always. It's something people only do in movies. Now she was pretending just the opposite, as if she forgot that I knew her. I backed away. Tell me everything, Amy. But first, was there ever a baby? The baby was a lie. It was the most desolate part for me. My wife as a murderer was frightening, repulsive, but the baby as a lie was almost impossible to bear. The baby was a lie. The fear of blood was a lie. During the past year, my wife had been mostly a lie. How did you set Desi up, I asked. I found some twine in one corner of his basement. I used a steak knife to saw it into 4 pieces. He let you keep a knife? We were friends. You forget. She was right. I was thinking of the story she told the police, that Desi had held her captive. I did forget. She was that good a storyteller. Whenever Desi wasn't around, I tied the pieces as tight as I could around my wrists and ankles so they leave these grooves. She showed me the lurid lines on her wrists, like bracelets. I took a wine bottle and I abused myself with it every day, so the inside of my vagina looked right. Right for a rape victim. Then today I let him have sex with me, so I had his semen, and I slipped some sleeping pills into his martini. He let you keep sleeping pills? She sighed. I wasn't keeping up. Right. You were friends. Then she pantomimed, slicing his jugular. That easy, huh? You just have to decide to do it, and then do it, she said. Discipline. Follow through. Like anything. You never understood that. I could feel her mood turning stony. I wasn't appreciating her enough. Tell me more, I said. Tell me how you did it. An hour in, the water went cold, and Amy called an end to our discussion. You have to admit, she's pretty brilliant, she said. I stared at her. I mean, you have to admire it just a little, she prompted. How long did it take for Desi to bleed to death? It's time for bed, she said, but we can talk more tomorrow if you want. Right now, we should sleep. Together. I think it's important. For closure. Actually, the opposite of closure. Amy, I'm going to stay tonight because I don't want to deal with all the questions if I don't stay. But I'll sleep downstairs. She cocked her head to one side, studied me. Nick, I can still do very bad things to you. Remember that. Ha! Worse than what you already done? She looked surprised. Oh, definitely. I doubt that, Amy. I began walking out the door. Attempted murder, she said. I paused. That was my original plan early on. I'd be a poor, sick wife with repeated episodes, sudden, intense bouts of illness. And then it turns out all those cocktails her husband prepared for her, like in the diary. But I decided attempted murder wasn't good enough for you. It had to be bigger than that. Still, I couldn't get the poisoning idea out of my head. I liked the idea of you waking up to the murder, trying the cowardly way first. So I went through with it. You expect me to believe that? All that vomit, so shocking. An innocent, frightened wife might have saved some of that vomit, just in case. You can't blame her, being a little paranoid. She gave a satisfied smile. Always have a backup plan to a backup plan. You actually poisoned yourself. Nick, please, you're shocked? I killed myself. I need a drink, I said. I left before she could speak. I poured myself a scotch and sat on the living room couch. Beyond the curtains, the strobes of the cameras were lighting up the yard. Soon it would no longer be night. I come to find the morning depressing, to know it would come again and again. Tanner picked up on the first ring. She killed him, I said. She killed Desi because he was annoying her. He was power playing her, and she realized she could kill him. And it was her way back to her old life, and she could blame everything on him. She murdered him, Tanner. She just told me this. She confessed. I don't suppose you were able to record any of it somehow? cell phone or something. We were naked with the shower running, and she whispered everything. I don't even want to ask, he said. You two are the most fucked up people I've ever met, and I specialize in fucked up people. What's going on with the police? He sighed. She foolproofed everything. It's ludicrous, her story, but no more ludicrous than our story. Amy's basically exploiting the sociopath's most reliable maxim. What's that? The bigger the lie, the more they believe it. Come on, Tanner, there's gotta be something. I paced over to the staircase to make sure Amy was nowhere nearby. We were whispering, but still, I had to be careful now. For now, we need to toe the line, Nick. She left you looking fairly bad. Everything in the diary was true, she says. All the stuff in the woodshed was you. You bought the stuff with those credit cards, and you're too embarrassed to admit it. She's just a sheltered little rich girl. What would she know about acquiring secret credit cards in her husband's name? And my goodness, that pornography. She told me there was never a baby. She faked it with Noelle Hawthorne's pee. Why didn't you say, that's huge, we'll lean on Noelle Hawthorne? Noelle didn't know. I heard a deep sigh on the other end. He didn't even bother asking how. We'll keep thinking. We'll keep looking, he said. Something will break. I can't stay in this house with that thing. She's threatening me with attempted murder, the antifreeze. Yeah, I heard that was in the mix. They can't arrest me on that, can they? She says she still has some vomit, evidence, but can they really? Let's not push it for now, okay, Nick? He said. For now, play nice. I hate to say it. I hate to. But that's my best legal advice for you right now. Play nice. Play nice? That's your advice? My one-man legal dream team? Play nice? Fuck you. I hung up in full fury. I'd kill her, I thought. I will fucking kill the bitch. I plunged into the dark daydream I'd indulged over the past few years when Amy had made me feel my smallest. I daydreamed of hitting her with a hammer, smashing her head in until she stopped talking, finally stopped with the words she suctioned to me. Average, boring, mediocre, unsurprising, unsatisfying, unimpressive, basically. In my mind, I wailed on her with the hammer until she was like a broken toy, muttering, until she sputtered to a stop. And then it wasn't enough, so I restored her to perfection and began killing her again. I wrapped my fingers around her neck. She always did crave intimacy. And then I squeezed and squeezed her pulse. Nick? I turned around and Amy was on the bottom in her nightgown, her head tilted to one side. Play nice, Nick. Amy Elliott Dunn, the night of the return. He turns around, and when he sees me standing there, he looks scared. That's something useful, because I'm not going to let him go. He may think he was lying when he said all those nice things to lure me home, but I know different. I know Nick can't lie like that. I know that as he recited those words, he realized the truth. Ping! Because you can't be as in love as we were and not have it invade your bone marrow. Our kind of love can go into remission, but it's always waiting to return, like the world's sweetest cancer. You don't buy it? Then how about this? He did lie. He didn't mean a fucking thing he said. Well then, screw him. He did too good a job, because I want him, exactly like that. The man he was pretending to be. Women love that guy. I love that guy. That's the man I want for my husband. That's the man I signed up for. That's the man I deserve. So he can choose to truly love me the way he once did, or I will bring him to a heel and make him the man I married. I'm sick of dealing with his bullshit. Play nice, I say. He looks like a child. A furious child. He bunches his fist. No, Amy. I can ruin you, Nick. You already did, Amy. I see the rage flash over him. A shiver. Why in God's name do you even want to be with me? I'm boring, average, uninteresting, uninspiring. I'm not up to par. You spent the last few years telling me this. Only because you stopped trying, I say. You were so perfect with me. We were so perfect when we started, and then you stopped trying. Why would you do that? I stopped loving you. Why? You stopped loving me. We're a sick, fucking toxic Mobius strip, Amy. We weren't ourselves when we fell in love. And then when we became ourselves, surprise, we were poison. We complete each other in the nastiest, ugliest possible way. You don't really love me, Amy. You don't even like me. Divorce me. Divorce me and let's try to be happy. I won't divorce you, Nick. I won't. And I swear to you, if you try to leave me, I will devote my life to making your life as awful as I can. And you know I can make it awful. He begins pacing like a caged bear. Think about it, Amy. How bad we are for each other. The two most needful human beings in the world, stuck with each other. I'll divorce you if you don't divorce me. Really? I will divorce you, but you should divorce me. Because I know what you're thinking already, Amy. You're thinking it won't make a good story. Amazing Amy finally kills her crazed rapist captor and returns home to a boring old divorce. You're thinking it's not triumphant. It's not triumphant. But think of it this way. Your story is not some drippy, earnest survivor story, TV movie circa 1992. It's not. You are a tough, vibrant, independent woman, Amy. You killed your kidnapper, and then you kept on cleaning house. You got rid of your idiot cheat of a husband. Women would cheer you. You're not a scared little girl. You're a badass, take no prisoners woman. Think about it. You know I'm right. The era of forgiveness is over. It's passé. Think of all the women, the politicians' wives, the actresses, every woman in the public who's been cheated on. They don't stay with the cheat these days. It's not stand by your man anymore. It's divorce the fucker. I feel a rush of hate toward him, that he's still trying to wriggle out of our marriage, even though I've told him 3 times now that he can't. He still thinks he has power. And if I don't divorce you, you divorce me, I ask? I don't want to be married to a woman like you. I want to be married to a normal person. Piece of shit. I see. You want to revert to your lame, limp, loser self? You want to just walk away? No. You don't get to be some boring-ass middle American with some boring-ass girl next door. You tried it already. Remember, baby? Even if you wanted to, you couldn't do that now. You'll be known as the philandering asshole who left his kidnapped, raped wife. You think any nice woman will touch you? You'll only get psychos? Crazy psycho bitches? He's pointing at me, jabbing the air. Don't call me that. Psycho bitch? It'd be so easy for him to write me off that way. He'd love that. To be able to dismiss me so simply. Everything I do for a reason, Nick, I say. Everything I do takes planning and precision and discipline. You are a petty, selfish, manipulative, disciplined, psycho bitch. You are a man, I say. You are an average, lazy, boring, cowardly, woman-fearing man. Without me, that's what you would have been kept on being ad nauseum. But I made you into something. You are the best man you've ever been with me. And you know it. The only time in your life you've ever liked yourself was pretending to be someone I might like. Without me, you're just your dad. Don't say that, Amy. He balls up his fist. You think he wasn't hurt by women too, just like you? I say it in my most patronizing voice, as if I'm talking to a puppy. You think he didn't believe he deserved better than he got, just like you? You really think your mom was his first choice? Why do you think he hated you all so much? He moves toward me. Shut up, Amy. Think, Nick. You know I'm right. Even if you found a nice, regular girl, you'd be thinking of me every day. Tell me you wouldn't. I wouldn't. How quickly did you forget little Abel Andy once you thought I loved you again? I say it in my poor baby voice. I even stick out my lower lip. One love note, sweetie? Did one love note do it? 2? 2 notes with me swearing I loved you and wanted you back? And I thought you were great after all? Was it that for you? You were witty, you were warm, you were brilliant? You're so pathetic. You think you can ever be a normal man again? You'll find a nice girl and you'll still think of me. And you'll be so completely dissatisfied, trapped in your boring, normal life with your regular wife and your 2 average kids. You'll think of me, and then you'll look at your wife and you'll think, dumb bitch. Shut up, Amy. I mean it. Just like your dad. We're all bitches in the end, aren't we, Nick? Dumb bitch. Psycho bitch. He grabbed me by my arm and shakes me hard. I'm the bitch who makes you better, Nick. He stops talking then. He's using all his energy to keep his hands at my side. His eyes are wet with tears. He is shaking. I'm the bitch who makes you a man. Then his hands are on my neck. I kind of want to stop there, but we're going to power through. Nick Dunn, the night of the return. Her pulse was finally throbbing beneath my fingers, the way I'd imagined. I pressed tighter and brought her to the ground. She made wet clucking noises and scratched at my wrist. We were both kneeling in face-to-face prayer for 10 seconds. You fucking crazy bitch. A tear fell from my chin and hit the floor. You murdering, mind-fucking, evil, crazy bitch. Amy's bright blue eyes were staring into mine, unblinking. And then the strangest thought of all clattered drunkenly from the back of my brain to the front, and it blinded me. If I kill Amy, who will I be? I saw a bright white flash. I dropped my wife as if she were burning iron. She sat hard on the ground, gasped, coughed. When her breath came back, it was in jagged rasps with a strange, almost erotic squeak at the end. Who will I be then? The question wasn't recriminatory. Don't know what that means. It wasn't like the answer was the pious. Then you'll be a killer, Nick. You'll be as bad as Amy. You'll be what everyone thought you were. No. The question was frighteningly soulful and literal. Who would I be without Amy to react to? Because she was right. As a man, I had been my most impressive when I loved her, and I was my next best self when I'd hated her. I had known Amy only 7 years, but I couldn't go back to life without her, because she was right. I couldn't return to an average life. I'd known it before she said a word. I'd already pictured myself with a regular woman, a sweet, normal girl, next door. And I'd already pictured telling this regular woman the story of Amy, the lengths she had gone to punish me and to return to me. I had already pictured this sweet and mediocre girl saying something uninteresting like, "Oh no, oh my God." And I already knew part of me would be looking at her thinking, "You never murdered for me. You never framed me. You wouldn't even know how to begin to do what Amy did. You could never possibly care that much." The indulged mama's boy in me wouldn't be able to find peace with this normal woman. And pretty soon, she wouldn't just be normal. She'd be substandard. And then my father's voice, "Dumb bitch," would rise up and take it from there. Amy was exactly right. So maybe there was no good end for me. Amy was toxic, yet I couldn't imagine a world without her entirely. Who would I be with Amy just gone? There were no options that interested me anymore, but she had to be brought to heel. Amy in prison. That was a good ending for her. Tucked away in a box where she couldn't inflict herself on me, but where I would visit her from time to time. Or at least imagine her. A pulse, my pulse, left out there somewhere. It had to be me who put her there. It was my responsibility. Just as Amy took the credit for making me my best self, I had to take the blame for bringing the madness to bloom in Amy. There were a million men who would have loved, honored, and obeyed Amy and considered themselves lucky to do so. Confident, self-assured real men who wouldn't have forced her to pretend to be anything but her own perfect, rigid, demanding, brilliant, creative, fascinating, rapacious, megalomaniac self. Men capable of being uxorious. Don't know what that means either. Men capable of keeping her sane. Amy's story could have gone a million other ways, but she met me, and bad things happened. So it was up to me to stop her. Not kill her, but stop her. Put her in one of her boxes. Amy Elliott Dunn. 5 days after the return. I know for sure now that I need to be more careful about Nick. He's not as tame as he used to be. Something in him is electric. A switch has turned on. I like it, but I need to take precautions. I need one more spectacular precaution. It will take some time to put in place this precaution, but I've done it before, the planning. In the meantime, we can work on our rebuilding. Start with the facade. We will have a happy marriage if it kills him. "You're going to have to try to love me again," I told him, the morning after he almost killed me. It happened to be Nick's 35th birthday, but he didn't mention it. My husband has had enough of my gifts. I forgive you for last night. We were both under a lot of stress, but now you're going to have to try again. I know. Things will have to be different, I said. I know, he said. He doesn't really know, but he will. My parents have visited daily. Rand and Mary Beth and Nick lavished me with attention. Pillows. Everyone wants to offer me pillows. We are all laboring under a mass psychosis that my rape and miscarriage had left me forever achy and delicate. I have a permanent case of sparrow's bones. I must be held gently in the palm lest I break. So I prop my feet on the infamous ottoman and I tread delicately over the kitchen floor where I bled. We must take good care of me. Yet, I find it strangely tense to watch Nick with anyone but me. He seems on the edge of blurting all the time, as if his lungs are bursting with words about me, damning words. I need Nick, I realize. I actually need him to back my story. To stop his accusations and denials and admit that it was him, the credit cards, the goodies in the woodshed, the bump in insurance. Otherwise, I will carry that waft of uncertainty forever. I have only a few loose ends, and those loose ends are people. The police, the FBI, they are sifting through my story. Boney, I know, would love to arrest me, but they botched everything so badly before. They look like such fools that they can't touch me unless they have proof. And they don't have proof. They have Nick, who swears he didn't do the things I swear he did. And that's not much, but it's more than I'd like. I've even prepared in case my Ozarks friends, Jeff and Greta, show up nosing around for a claim or cash. I've already told the police. Desi didn't drive us straight to his home. He kept me blindfolded and gagged and drugged for several days. I think it was several days in some room, maybe a motel room, maybe an apartment. I can't be sure. It's all such a blur. I was so frightened, you know? And the sleeping pills. If Jeff and Greta showed their pointy, low-down faces and somehow convinced the cops to send a tech team down to the hideaway and one of my fingerprints or hair is found, that simply solves part of the puzzle. The rest of them is telling lies. So Nick is really the only issue, and soon I'll return him to my side. I was smart. I left no other evidence. The police may not entirely believe me, but they won't do anything. I know from the petulant tone in Boney's voice, she will live in permanent exasperation from now on, and the more annoyed she gets, the more people will dismiss her. She already has the righteous, eye-rolling cadence of a conspiracy crackpot. She might as well wrap her head in foil. Yes, the investigation is winding down, but for Amazing Amy, it's quite the opposite. My parents' publisher placed an abashed plea for another Amazing Amy book, and they acquiesced for a lovely fat sum. Once again, they are squatting on my psyche, earning money for themselves. They left Carthage this morning. They say it's important for Nick and me, the correct grammar, to have some time alone and heal. But I know the truth. They want to get to work. They tell me they are trying to find the right tone, a tone that says, our daughter was kidnapped and repeatedly raped by a monster she had to stab in the neck. But this is in no way a cash grab. I don't care about the rebuilding of their pathetic empire because every day I get called to tell my story. My story. Mine, mine, mine. I just need to pick the very best deal and start writing. I just need Nick on the same page so that we both agree how this story will end. Happily. I know Nick isn't in love with me yet, but he will be. I do have faith in that. Fake it until you make it. Isn't that the expression? For now, he acts like the old Nick, and I act like the old Amy. But when we were happy, when we didn't know each other as well we do now, oh, that shouldn't have been. There was a period there. Yesterday, I stood in the back porch and watched the sun come up over the river. A strangely cool August morning. And when I turned around, Nick was studying me from the kitchen window. And he held up a mug of coffee with the question, "You want a cup?" I nodded, and soon he was standing beside me, the air smelling of grass, and we were drinking our coffee together and watching the water, and it felt normal and good. He won't sleep with me yet. He sleeps in the downstairs guest room with the door locked. But one day I will wear him down. I will catch him off guard, and he will lose the energy for the nightly battle, and he will get in bed with me. In the middle of the night, I'll turn to him and press myself against him. I'll hold myself to him like a climbing, coiling vine until I've invaded every part of him and made him mine. Nick Dunn, 30 days after the return. Amy thinks she's in control, but she's very wrong. Or she will be very wrong. Boney and Go and I are working together. The cops, the FBI, no one else is showing much interest anymore. But yesterday, Boney called out of the blue. She didn't identify herself when I picked up, just started like an old friend. "Take it for a cup of coffee?" I grabbed Go, and we met Boney back at the pancake house. She was already at the booth when we arrived, and she stood and smiled somewhat weakly. She'd been getting pummeled in the press. We did an awkward group-wide hug or handshake shuffle. Boney settled for a nod. First thing she said to me, once we got our food, "I have one daughter, 13 years old, Mia, for Mia Hamm. She was born the day we won the World Cup, so that's my daughter." I raised my eyebrows. "How interesting. Tell me more." "You asked that one day, and I didn't. I was rude. I've been sure you were innocent, and then everything said you weren't, so I was pissed that I could be that fool. So I didn't even want to say my daughter's name around you." She poured us out some coffee from the thermos. "So it's Mia," she said. "Well, thank you," I said. "No, I mean, crap." She exhaled upward, a hard gust that fluttered her bangs. I know Amy framed you. I know she murdered Desi Collins. I know it. I just can't prove it." "What is everyone else doing while you're actually working the case?" Go asked. "There is no case. They're moving on. Gilpin is totally checked out. I basically got word from on high. Shut this shit down. Shut it down. We look like the giant rube redneck jackasses in the national media. I can't do anything unless I get something from you, Nick. You got anything?" I shrugged. "I got everything you got." She confessed to me, but she confessed, she said? "Well, hell, Nick, we'll wire you." "It won't work." "It won't work. She thinks of everything. She knows police procedure cold. She studies, Rhonda." She poured electric blue syrup over her waffles. I took the tines of my fork and my bulbous egg yolk and swirled it around. smearing the sun. It drives me crazy when you call me Rhonda. She studies me. She studies, Miss Detective Boney. She blew her breath upward, fluttered her bangs again, took a bite of the waffle. I couldn't get a wire anyway at this point. Come on, there has to be something, you guys, Go snapped. Nick, why the hell are you staying in the house if you aren't getting something? It takes time, Go. I have to get her to trust me again. If she starts telling me things casually, when we're not both stark naked, Boney rubbed her eyes in the dress Go. Do I even want to ask? They always have their talks naked in the shower with the water running, Go said. Can't you bug the shower somewhere? She whispers in my ear. On top of the shower running, I said. She does study, Boney said. She really does. I went over that car she drove back, Desi's Jag. I had him check the trunk, where she swore Desi had stored her when she kidnapped her. I figured there'd be nothing there. We'd catch her in a lie. She rolled around the trunk, Nick. Her scent was detected by our dogs, and we found 3 long blonde hairs. Long blonde hairs. Hers before she cut it. How she did that, foresight. I'm sure she had a bag of them. So if she needed to leave them somewhere to damn me, she could. Good God. Can you imagine having her for a mother? You could never fib. She'd be 3 steps ahead of you, always. Boney. Can you imagine having her for a wife? She'll crack, she said. At some point, she'll crack. She won't, I said. Can't I just testify against her? You have no credibility, Boney said. Your only credibility comes from Amy. She single-handedly rehabilitated you, and she could single-handedly undo it. If she comes out with the antifreeze story, I need to find the vomit, I said. If I got rid of the vomit and we exposed more of her lies, we should go through the diary, Go said. 7 years of entries? There has to be discrepancies. We asked Rand and Mary Beth to go through it, see if anything seemed off, Boney said. You can guess how that went. I thought Mary Beth was going to scratch my eyes out. What about Jacqueline Collins or Tommy O'Hara or Hillary Handy, Go said. They all know the real Amy. There has to be something there. Boney shook her head. Believe me, it's not enough. They're all less credible than Amy. It's pure public opinion. But right now, that's what the department is looking at. Public opinion. She was right. Jacqueline Collins had popped up on a few cable shows insisting on her son's innocence. She always started off steady, but her mother's love worked against her. She soon came across as a grieving woman, desperate to believe the best of her son. And the more the host pitied her, the more she snapped and snarled, and the more unsympathetic she became. She got written off quickly. Both Tommy O'Hara and Hillary Handy called me, furious that Amy remained unpunished, determined to tell their story. But no one wanted to hear from 2 unhinged former anythings. Hold tight, I told them. We're working on it. Hillary and Tommy and Jacqueline and Boney and Go and I, we have our moment. I told myself I believed it. What if we at least got Andy, I asked. Got her to testify that everywhere Amy hid a clue was a place where we, had sex. Andy's credible. People love her. Andy had reverted to her old cheery self after Amy returned. I know that only from the occasional tabloid screenshots. From those, I know she had been dating a guy her age. From those, I know she has been dating a guy her age. A cute, shaggy kid with earbuds, forever dangling from his neck. They look nice together, young and healthy. The press adored them. The best headline, Love Finds Andy Hardy. A 1938 Mickey Rooney movie pun only about 20 people would get. I sent her a text. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't hear back. Good for her. I mean that sincerely. Coincidence, Boney shrugged. I mean, weird coincidence, but it's not impressive enough to move forward. Not in this climate. You need to get your wife to tell you something useful, Nick. You're our only chance here. Go slammed down her coffee. I can't believe we're having this conversation, she said. Nick, I don't want you in the house anymore. You're not an undercover cop, It's not your job. You are living with a murderer. Fucking leave. I'm sorry, but who gives a shit that she killed Desi? I don't want her to kill you. I mean, someday you burn her grilled cheese, and next thing you know, my phone's ringing, and you've taken an awful fall from the roof or some shit? Leave. I can't. Not yet. She'll never really let me go. She likes the game too much. Then stop playing it. I leave the game, man. Fans still gonna love me, man? I can't. I'm getting so much better at it. I will stay close to her until I can bring her down. I'm the only one left who can do it. Someday she'll slip and tell me something I can use. A week ago, I moved into our bedroom. We don't have sex, we barely touch, but we are husband and wife in a marital bed, which appeases Amy for now. I stroke her hair. I take a strand beneath between my finger and thumb, and I pull it to the end and tug, like I'm ringing a bell. And we both like that, which is a problem. We pretend to be in love, and we do the things we like to do when we're in love. And it feels almost like love sometimes, but we are so perfectly putting ourselves through the paces, reviving the muscle memory of early romance. When I forget, I can sometimes briefly forget who my wife is. I actually like hanging out with her, or the her she is pretending to be. The fact is, my wife is a murderess who is sometimes really fun. May I give one example? One night I flew in lobster like the old days, and she pretended to chase me with it, and I pretended to hide, and then we both at the same time made an Annie Hall joke, and it was so perfect, so the way it was supposed to sound, that I had to leave the room for a second. My heart was beating in my ears. I had to repeat my mantra. Amy killed a man and she will kill you if you are not very, very careful. My wife, the very fun, beautiful murderess, will do harm if I displease her. I find myself jittery in my own house. I will be making a sandwich, standing in the kitchen midday, licking the peanut butter off a knife, and I will turn and find Amy in the same room with me. Those quiet little cat feet. And I will quiver. Me, Nick Dunn, the man who used to forget so many details, is now the guy who replays conversation to make sure I didn't offend, to make sure I never hurt her feelings. I write down everything about her day, her likes, her dislikes, in case she quizzes me. I am a great husband because I'm afraid she may kill me. We've never had a conversation about my paranoia because we're pretending to be in love, and I'm pretending not to be frightened of her, but she's made glancing motions of it. You know, Nick, you can sleep in bed with me, like actually sleep. It'll be okay, I promise. What happened with Desi was an isolated incident. Close your eyes and sleep. But I know I'll never sleep again. I can't close my eyes when I'm next to her. It's like sleeping with a spider. Amy Elliott Dunn, 8 weeks after the return. No one has arrested me. The police have stopped questioning. I feel safe. I will be safer very soon. This is how good I feel. Yesterday, I came downstairs for breakfast, and the jar that held my vomit was sitting on the kitchen counter, empty. Nick, the scrounger, had gotten rid of a little bit of leverage. I blinked an eye and then tossed out the jar. It hardly matters now. Good things are happening. I have a book deal. I am officially in control of our story. It feels wonderfully symbolic. Isn't that just what every marriage is anyway? Just a lengthy game of he said, she said? Well, she is saying, and the world will listen. And Nick will have to smile and agree. I will write him the way I want him to be. Romantic and thoughtful and very, very repentant. About the credit cards, about the purchases and the woodshed. If I can't get him to say it out loud, he'll say it in my book. Then he'll come on tour with me and smile and smile. I'm calling the book simply Amazing, causing great wonder or surprise, astounding. That sums up my story, I think. Nick Dunn, 9 weeks after the return. I found the vomit. She hidden it in the back of the freezer in a jar inside a box of Brussels sprouts. The box was covered in icicles. It must have been sitting there for months. I know it was her own joke with herself. Nick won't eat his vegetables. Nick never cleaned up the fridge. Nick won't think to look here. But Nick did. Nick knows how to clean up the refrigerator, it turns out, and Nick even knows how to defrost it. I poured all that sick down the drain and left the jar on the counter so she'd know. She tossed it in the garbage. She never said a word about it. Something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but something's very wrong. My life has begun to feel like an epilogue. Tanner picked up a new case. A Nashville singer discovered his wife was cheating, and her body was found the next day in a Hardee's trash bin near their house. A hammer covered with his fingerprints beside her. Tanner is using me as a defense. I know it looks bad, but it also looked bad for Nick Dunn. And you know how that turned out. I can almost feel him winking at me through the camera lens. He sent the occasional text. You okay? Or anything? No. Nothing. Boney and Go and I hung out in secret at the Pancake House, where we sifted through the dirty sand of Amy's story, trying to find something we could use. We scoured the diary, an elaborate anarchist... Nope. Yeah. Anarchism hunt? Okay. It came down to desperate dick pickings like, she makes a comment here about Darfur. Was that on the radar in 2010? Yes. From the 2006 news clip with George Clooney discussing it. Or my own best worst. Amy makes a joke in July 2008 entry about killing a hobo. But I feel like dead hobo jokes weren't big until 2009. To which Boney replied, pass the syrup, freak show. People peeled away, went on with their lives. Boney stayed. Go stayed. Then something happened. My father finally died. At night in his sleep, a woman spooned his last meal into his mouth. A woman settled him into bed for his last rest. A woman cleaned him up after he died. And a woman phoned to give me the news. He was a good man, she said, dulling us with an obligatory injection of empathy. No, he wasn't, I said, and she laughed like she clearly hadn't in a month. I thought it made me feel better to have that man vanish from the earth, but I actually felt a massive, frightening hollowness open in my chest. I had spent my life comparing myself to my father, and now he was gone, and there was only Amy left to bat against. After the small, dusty, lonely service, I didn't leave with Go. I went home with Amy, and I clutched her to me. That's right. I went home to my wife, with my wife. I have to get out of this house, I thought. I have to be done with Amy once and for all. Burn us down so I couldn't ever go back. Who would I be without you? I had to find out. I had my own story to tell. It was all so clear. The next morning, as Amy was in her study, clicking away at the keys, telling the world her amazing story, I took my laptop downstairs and stared at the glowing white screen. I started on the opening page of my own book. I am a cheating, weak-spined, woman-fearing coward, and I am the hero of your story. Because the woman I cheated on, my wife, Amy Elliott Dunn, is a sociopath and a murderer. Yes, I'd read that. Amy Elliott Dunn, 10 weeks after the return. Nick still pretends with me. We pretend together that we are happy and carefree and in love, but I hear him clicking away late at night on the computer, writing his side. I know it. I can tell by the feverish outpouring of words, the keys clicking and clacking like a million insects. I try to hack in when he's asleep, although he sleeps like me now, fussy and anxious, and I sleep like him. But he's learned his lesson, that he's no longer beloved Nikki, safe from wrong. He no longer uses his birthday or his mom's birthday or Bleeker's birthday as a password. I can't get in. Still, I hear him typing rapidly and without pause, and I can picture him hunched over the keyboard, his shoulders up, his tongue clamped between his teeth, and I know that I was right to protect myself, to take precaution, because he isn't writing a love story. Nick Dunn, 20 weeks after the return. I didn't move out. I wanted this all to be a surprise to my wife, who was never surprised. I wanted to give her the manuscript as I walked out the door to land a book deal. Let her feel that trickling horror of knowing that the world is about to tilt and dump its shit all over you, and you can't do anything about it. No, she may never go to prison, and it will always be my word against hers. But my case was convincing. It had emotional resonance, if not a legal one. So let everyone take sides. Team Nick, Team Amy, turn it into even more of a game. Sell some fucking t-shirts. My legs were weak when I went to tell Amy. I was no longer part of her story. I showed her the manuscript, displayed the glaring title, Psycho Bitch. A little inside joke. We both like our inside jokes. I waited for her to scratch my cheeks, rip my clothes, bite me. Oh, what perfect timing, she said cheerfully, and gave me a big grin. Can I show you something? I made her do it again in front of me. Piss on the stick. Me squatting next to her on the bathroom floor, watching the urine come out of her and hitting the stick and turning it pregnant blue. Then I hustled into the car and drove to the doctor's office and watched the blood come out of her, because she isn't really afraid of blood, and we waited the 2 hours for the test to come back. Amy was pregnant. It's obviously not mine, I said. Oh, it is, she smiled back. She smiled. She tried to snuggle into my arms. Congratulations, Dad. Amy. I began because of course it wasn't true. I hadn't touched my wife since her return. Then I saw it. The box of tissues, the vinyl recliner, the TV and the porn, and my semen in the hospital freezer somewhere. I'd left that will destroy notice on the table, a limp guilt trip, and then the notice disappeared because my wife had taken action, as always. That action wasn't to get rid of the stuff, but to save it, just in case. I felt a giant bubble of joy. I couldn't help it. And then the joy was encased in metallic terror. I'll need to do a few things for my security, Nick, she said, just because, I have to say, it's almost impossible to trust you. To start, you'll have to delete your book, obviously. And just to put that other matter to rest, we'll need an affidavit. And you'll need to swear that it was you who bought the stuff from the woodshed and hid the stuff from the woodshed. And that you did once think I was framing you, but now you love me, and I love you, and everything is good. What if I refuse? She put her hand on her small, swollen belly and frowned. I think that would be awful. We had spent years battling for control of our marriage, of our love story, of our life story. I had been thoroughly, finally outplayed. I created a manuscript, and she created a life. I could fight for custody, but I already know I'd lose. Amy would relish the battle. God knew what she already had planned. But by the time she was done, I wouldn't even be an every other weekend dad. I would interact with my child in strange rooms with the guardian nearby sipping coffee, watching me. Or maybe not even that. I could suddenly see the accusations of molestation or abuse, and I would never see my baby. And I would know that my child was tucked away far from me, mother whispering lies into that pink, tiny ear. It's a boy, by the way, she said. I was a prisoner after all. Amy had me forever, or as long as she wanted, because I needed to save my son. To try to unhook, unlatch, debarb, undo everything that Amy did. I would literally lay down my life for my child and do it happily. I would raise my son to be a good man. I deleted my story. Boney picked up on the first ring. Pancake house, 20 minutes, she said? No. I informed Rhonda Boney that I was going to be a father and so could no longer assist in any investigation. That I was, in fact, planning to retract any statement I made concerning my misplaced belief that my wife had framed me. And I was also ready to admit my role in the credit cards. A long pause in the line. Huh, she said. Huh. I could picture Boney running her hand through her slack hair, chewing on the inside of her cheek. You take care of yourself, okay, Nick? She said finally. Take good care of the little one, too. Then she laughed. Amy, I don't really give a fuck about. I went to Go's house to tell her in person. I try to frame it as happy news. A baby, you can't be excited about a baby. You can hate the situation, but you can't hate a child. I thought Go was going to hit me. She stood so close I could feel her breath. She jabbed me with an index finger. You just want an excuse to stay, she whispered. You two, you're fucking addicted to each other. You are literally going to be a nuclear family. Do you know that? You will explode. You will fucking detonate. You really think you can possibly do this for, what, the next 18 years? You don't think she'll kill you? Not as long as I'm the man she married. I wasn't for a while, but I can be. You don't think you'll kill her? You want to turn into dad? Don't you see, Go? This is my guarantee not to turn into dad. I'll have to be the best husband and father in the world. Go burst into tears then. The first time I seen her cry since she was a child. She sat down on the floor, straight down, as if her legs gave out. I sat beside her and leaned my head against hers. She finally swallowed her last sob and looked up at me. Remember when I said, Nick, I said I still love you if? I love you no matter what came after the if? Yes. Well, I still love you, but this breaks my heart. She let out an awful sob, a child sob. Things weren't supposed to turn out this way. It's a strange twist, I said, trying to turn it to light. She won't try to keep us apart, will she? No, I said. Remember, she pretended to be better too. Yes, I am finally a match for Amy. The other morning I woke up next to her and I studied the back of her skull. I tried to read her thoughts. For once, I didn't feel like I was staring into the sun. I'm rising to my wife's level of madness because I can feel her changing me again. I was a callow boy and then a man, good and bad. Now at last, I'm the hero. I am the one to root for in the never-ending war story of our marriage. It's a story I can live in. Hell, at this point, I can't imagine my story without Amy. She is my forever antagonist. We are one long, frightening climax. Amy Elliott Dunn. 10 months, 2 weeks, 6 days after the return. I was told love should be unconditional. That's the rule. Everyone says so. But if love has no boundaries, no limits, no conditions, why should anyone try to do the right thing ever? If I know I am loved no matter what, where's the challenge? Am I supposed to love Nick despite all his shortcomings? And Nick is supposed to love me despite my quirks? But clearly neither of us does. It makes me think that everyone is wrong. But that love should have many conditions. Love should require both partners to be their very best at all times. Unconditional love is an undisciplined love. And as we have all seen, undisciplined love is disastrous. You can read more about my thoughts on love in Amazing, out soon. But first, motherhood. The due date is tomorrow. Tomorrow happens to be our anniversary. Year 6, Iron. I thought about giving Nick a nice pair of handcuffs, but he may not find this funny yet. It's so strange to think. A year ago today, I was undoing my husband. Now, I am almost done reassembling him. Nick has spent all his free time these past months slathering my belly with cocoa butter and running out for pickles and rubbing my feet and all the things good fathers to be are supposed to do, doting on me. He is learning to love me unconditionally under all my conditions. I think we are finally on our way to happiness. I have finally figured it out. We are on the eve of becoming the world's best, brightest nuclear family. We just need to sustain it. Nick doesn't have it down perfect. This morning he was stroking my hair and asking what else he could do for me. And I said, my gosh, Nick, why are you so wonderful to me? He was supposed to say, you deserve it. I love you. But he said, because I feel sorry for you. Why? Because every morning you have to wake up and be you. I really, truly wish he hadn't said that. I can't stop, or I keep thinking about it. I can't stop. I don't have anything else to add. I just wanted to make sure I had the last word. I think I've earned that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we can close Gone Girl. This has been a hell of a journey. It makes me want to tackle the movie again to see how well it was adapted. There are some extra things in here, and I think next time we meet for Sip Read Repeat, we'll go over them. If there are some questions and topics for discussion, we'll go over those. But as far as reading this book goes, that's one down of many. Thank you so much for being here as always. And until next time, y'all, peace.